Pompeii, the illusion of eternity. A city can believe it is eternal. If its walls are thick, its streets paved with stone, and ships from every corner of the world dock at its ports each day, those who live there begin to feel that time itself is unstoppable. The human mind is built around continuity. We wake up, go to the marketplace, and make plans. For tomorrow, for next year, for a long life, we intend to build. Pompeii was seen in exactly this way. In the summer of 79 AD, this Roman city was breathing through the rhythm of an ordinary day. The scent of fresh bread drifted from bakeries, bathhouses overflowed with men debating politics, and lavish evening banquets were being organized inside wealthy villas. No one knew that that very moment would mark an end not only for themselves but for the world they represented. Mount Vesuvius had long stood on the city's horizon, like a silent giant. It was motionless, quiet. It did not look like danger. The human mind adapts even to the greatest risks over time. When a threat remains silent long enough, we begin to see it not as a warning, but as an aesthetic part of the landscape. As the people of Pompeii cultivated vineyards on the fertile slopes of the mountain, they failed to remember that they were sitting atop a powder keg. The city's mistake was interpreting nature's silence as a peace treaty. Pompeii was one of the shining jewels of the Roman Empire. At the heart of Mediterranean trade routes, it was a center where wealth and power flowed freely. The mosaics lining its streets, the towering statues, and the expansive courtyards reflected the unshakable confidence of a powerful civilization. Over time, that confidence became indistinguishable from a sense of security. The Roman world was so dominant that a collective belief had formed. Nothing could possibly disturb this order. Yet that belief became the greatest curtain shielding the approaching disaster. When the first tremors were felt that morning, widespread panic did not erupt. Pompeii was accustomed to earthquakes. The region was seismically active. Years earlier, a major quake had struck, and the city had risen again, repairing its wounds and emerging even more magnificent. This too shall pass, they must have thought. Repairing a cracked wall is easier than recognizing an approaching catastrophe. But this time, the sound rising from beneath the earth was unlike anything before. By midday, the plume rising from Vesuvius began to alter the color of the sky. The radiant Mediterranean sun surrendered to an ashen twilight. Ash fell gently at first, drifting down like snow. In the beginning, it was observed with curiosity, a spectacle of nature. But as time passed, the ash grew heavier and more relentless. The city was not erased in an instant. It disappeared step by step. Hesitation overtook panic. A fatal divide formed between those who gathered their belongings and ran toward the harbor and those who sought refuge behind the thick walls of their homes. A civilization tries to remain rational, even in the face of collapse, but nature is not rational. As the hours passed, the immense pressure within the volcano was released. The sky was swallowed in blackness. What fell from above was no longer light ash, but volcanic stones heavy enough to crush rooftops. Breathing became impossible as burning clouds of dust filled the air. Visibility vanished. Pompeii's famous stone-paved streets became not escape routes, but traps. Doors would not open. Roofs collapsed upon the people sheltering beneath them. Those who managed to flee vanished into darkness, while thousands perished where they stood, as if waiting for a miracle. The most terrifying aspect was the speed of the destruction. Building a civilization, a culture, and thousands of years of accumulated knowledge can take centuries. But erasing it from the earth may require only a single day. In Pompeii, time froze as pyroclastic flows consumed the city. Ash and gas sealed people in the exact positions of their final moments. Lovers embracing each other, mothers shielding their children, elderly figures reaching for keys at their doorways. The famous body casts uncovered by archaeologists are not merely remains. They are among the most honest and tragic images in human history. What dominates these forms is not pure terror, but disbelief. Because until the final second, the human mind resists, insisting, "This cannot truly be happening to me." Pompeii did not vanish all at once. There were early tremors, subtle changes in the sky, restless animals, drying wells. Yet the city chose to trust its normalcy and its past experiences. Perhaps the most dangerous moment for any society is the unshakable belief that nothing will fundamentally change. Pompeii's story is therefore not merely a geological disaster, it is the tragedy of a mindset. No matter how wealthy a city may be, if it forgets how vulnerable it is before nature or time, its end has already begun. The Roman Empire was the center of the world, and Pompeii was one of its most vibrant arteries. History is filled with the silent ruins of places once deemed indispensable: Babylon, Angkor, the Maya cities. Each once believed it could not be erased, that the world could not turn without it. Each eventually stopped. What makes Pompeii different is that its final moment was preserved like a photograph. Ash deprived the city of oxygen, halting decay. Loaves of bread left in ovens, campaign slogans painted on walls, fragments of love poetry all remain as they were. Pompeii does not show us only that, it shows us a reflection. Today, we too believe our cities are eternal. We build skyscrapers, establish financial centers, and trust that technology will shield us from every disaster. With data centers, highways, and intricate infrastructure, we place ourselves above nature. Yet history reminds us with brutal clarity, no system is eternal. In the modern world, threats are no longer only volcanic mountains. Economic collapses, ecological crises, uncontrolled artificial intelligence, or sudden global pandemics. Civilizations rarely collapse from a single massive blow. More often, they fall from the accumulation of small warnings that were ignored. The people of Pompeii were not foolish or ignorant. Like us, they simply wanted life to continue. When you live inside a powerful, functioning system, it is difficult to imagine that it could shatter in seconds. The comfort of daily life numbs the perception of risk. As you drink your morning coffee or rush to work, you do not consider that the ground beneath you could one day consume you. No one in Pompeii considered it either. Vesuvius had been silent for centuries, and that silence transformed into the most dangerous illusion of all: safety. Today, when you walk among the ruins of Pompeii, the stone streets still remain. The frescoes on villa walls still preserve their colors, but the city itself is gone. There is no sound, no trade, no plans for the future, only the devastating imprint of a single moment. When a civilization forgets its fragility, it becomes most defenseless. Because the greatest threat is often invisible, hidden within the landscape itself. Pompeii tells us far more than the story of a disaster. It reveals how deeply habits can numb us, how normalcy can become a trap. It exposes the human tendency to sanctify the system we live in and believe it will never change. Every civilization that grows overly confident in its own security becomes overdue for a risk assessment. Pompeii's final day was tragic, but the real lesson lies in the thousands of ordinary days that preceded it. Collapse often feels sudden, but the signs are always there. The question is not why Vesuvius erupted. The real question is when a society becomes too blind to see its own end. And we, the modern inhabitants of the vast metropolises of the 21st century, are we truly different from them? Or are we simply living inside a larger, more technological, more complex Pompeii? Perhaps the issue is not when disaster will arrive, but how willing we are to ignore it. Today, Pompeii's streets echo only with the footsteps of tourists. Yet that deep silence is a warning loud enough to deafen. No city, no financial power, no technological fortress is truly eternal. Cities die, empires fall, and time buries everything beneath ash. What remains is the lesson hidden in that silence. Security is only an illusion. For more in-depth analysis and stories from beyond the map, subscribe to Off the Map. In the next episode, We will meet again at another trace left behind by humanity.